and wellness. Even as a youth, I never thought I'd be doing what it is that I'm doing. I just thought I would always be, a healthy person, always, you know, feeding myself healthy foods. Even growing up, people always called me the health nut, health food nut, and all these different, descriptions of eating health food. I remember as a
Right.
kid having my own little section in the refrigerator, of certain foods that I ate that was separate from the household. Um, but moving forward, you know, with this particular show and with neuropathic trainers, is I really want to really stress the importance, especially moving forward into 2019, is for our audience and those that I come in contact with or that we come in contact with to really understand the importance, and you're going to start to hear about this more, is to understand the importance of your cells and the function of those cells and how and what to feed those cells. What you're going to find is that most sickness and disease is due to dietary or nutritional deficiency. Um, and what happens is when you're deficient in specific nutrients, you start to suffer cellular death. Now, you have to understand
Mm.
that the body is composed of trillions of cells. So when you think, let's say you suffer the death of maybe 100 cells, you may not notice much of a difference, with that. But over a period of time, when you start to kill these cells, and these cells starts to die, then you start to suffer. And this is where you'll start to understand how they come up with this timeline of when you need to start getting certain checkups, because when you start to kill off cells over a period of time, and they say, once you reach 35 or you reach 40, you need to start having specific checkups because you have suffered over a period of time cellular death of specific cells. So
Mm.
what we have to do moving forward is we have to start learning how to feed ourselves certain diets that are meant to aid our cells in cellular repair. And the book that I'm writing is based on that, is how to choose a diet that's based on cellular repair. Now you also have to understand this too as well, is that there are some foods that we should be eating. They just don't taste great. But
Right.
you
Yeah,
still have to eat those
that's
foods.
as adults, we have problems eating certain foods.
I'm sorry.
I said, even as an adult, we have a problem eating certain foods.
And you're absolutely right. We have a problem with eating certain foods, and some, and in our culture, a lot of times eating is cultural. It's the
Mhm.
things that we've eaten as a culture, and it's been passed on from generation to generation. And a lot of times the foods that we eat are the foods that our parents cooked. Now, what you have to understand as Afrocentric people, especially, slavery being, 400 plus, years ago, our forefathers ate the slop that, our captors, threw
Right.
out to us. That's why, we had to learn how to prepare, what was given to us. That's why you see, us eating things like, chitlins and gizzards and everything, because they threw out, after they took the good meat, they threw us the guts and what was left over. So we had to learn how to prepare that into a meal. And as you can see, it still kind of followed us even up until today. We're still eating those same diets.
And it's sad, as you were saying, because a lot of people are eating food that is not healthy for them. And our body don't know how to process it and digest it.
Right. And this is not, and I'm not trying to put a damper on eating. Yes, eating can be very pleasurable. I love eating, pleasure foods. But what I do suggest, let's say, for example, I know I get a lot of people to say, well, Lorenzo, I want to eat healthy. I've been trying to eat healthy. I just, I don't know what to eat or what to prepare, or I don't, or maybe I just don't have access to those foods. And in many cases in our community, we don't have access, to those foods that are healthy. We just don't have access. You'll find a lot of times we're shopping at Dollar Generals and Family Dollars and the gas stations and corner stores and in little mini marts. That's where we're doing our grocery shopping, and they just don't supply us with nutritionally dense foods. A lot of them are deficient of the nutrients that we need for proper health. And what I say to that is that sometimes you're going to have to drive a little further out so that you can buy or purchase those foods or supplements that are meant to reverse the damage that's caused by, some of the foods and some of the practices that we indulge in. I'm not gonna, say that I'm, straight and narrow on, eating the best. Sometimes I step away and eat some things that maybe I should not be eating. But one of the things that I do is I do make sure that I'm taking in the nutrients that allows my body to repair any damage that's being done. See, that's the important thing, is you want your body to be able to repair damage that's being done. When you continue to put your body through this long-term abuse, you have to, at some point in time, give it a break, which is what you'll find. That's why you'll hear people suggesting fasting at least one time per month.
Right.
But you want to make sure that you're supplying your body with the proper nutrients to repair cellular damage. Now, when I say cellular damage, I'm going to tell you why this is very important. When you think of cells, we think very short term. We think of blood cells, and that's usually about the extent. Blood cells and little basic cells. But you have bone cells, you have skin cells, you have nerve cells, you have muscle cells, you have brain cells. These cells all have specific functions, and some of these cells have a specific lifetime. I believe the blood cells have a shorter lifetime, and then they die out. But then you have cells such as like brain cells and nerve cells that live, until you're gone, until the end of time. They stay with you. That's why sometimes you can remember the smell of like your kindergarten teacher. You can remember that smell of the perfume that she had on you, or your brain will recall certain memories because those cells live on, to the end of your existence. So we have to think more broad on when we start thinking about cells and the importance of those cells. Because when those cells start to die, that's when you start to suffer degenerative disorders.
Perfect. That's what I want to talk about a little bit more tonight, in regards of how do you use the right minerals to repair those cells. What's the things that you purchase now to help?
Some of the things that I would definitely suggest is looking at things like protandem and selenium. They're basic nutrients that you can definitely find, out there that are their primary function is cellular health and cellular repair. And what they do is they reduce the effects of oxidative stress. Now, what oxidative stress is when you look at the word oxidation, a good example of oxidation is like, for example, if you bite into an apple, or when you cut a banana, you start to see it turn brown. What happens is when it's exposed to the environment, exposed to the chemicals in the air that we breathe, you start to see cellular death starts to take place. That's that brown that you start to see that almost happens immediately after you bite into the apple, after you break the skin of the apple or the banana, it starts to turn brown. The same thing, happens to our cells over a period of time. You can't avoid oxidative stress. As long as you're breathing and eating, you're going to be exposing yourself to environmental chemicals and industrial chemicals, from eating food. So what you want to do is you want to make sure if you're taking some type of supplement or you're doing some type of detox. When I say detox, you want to, it's usually recommended one time per month. If you're suffering from any type of medical condition, you're going to talk with your doctor, your primary physician before doing so. Like I said, I don't know what some of the people that are your audience that are listening, if you have any medical conditions such as, high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that. You want to make sure, especially if you have diabetes, you want to make sure that you talk to your physician about it, because you can still do a detox, but you want to make sure you're getting the nutrients that you need to support any health conditions that you're dealing with. But the reason you want to do this is you want to make sure you're giving your body a chance to cleanse itself of these environmental and dietary chemicals that you're exposing yourself to, because what they do is they cause cellular damage. Now, what happens when you suffer cellular damage? The cells, you have what's called gap junction. Gap junction is a form of cell-to-cell communication. Cells communicate. When they communicate in forms of like vibration and with diffusing with one another. Now, if there's cellular damage that take place, it's like having a bad connection on your cell phone, or back when we were younger, when you had to find that sweet spot on the telephone cord because the cord was bad and you get that static, in the telephone cord and everything. So you had to try to find that sweet spot. That's what's happening with the cells. The cells can't communicate, which means they can't reproduce, and they can't transport nutrients and information properly like they should be. So that's the importance of cellular health and longevity.
Okay. So in regards to that, I want you to elaborate a little bit on that, but also on the cellular damage that you were talking about. I know for some people that I talk to, they're like, what do I need to do to make sure I can repair it? What can I do? What foods I can eat? What medicine I can take? Or either supplements that I can take? And you did touch on the detox, which is a good thing, because I know that a lot of people do detox. I'm out every month almost. And that's a good thing.
Right. Now, when we talk about foods, when you talk about food for cellular repair, you had mentioned earlier when you talked about changing, our mindset, and that's the key, is changing our mindset. And when we look at our diets as a culture, and how we have eaten, we have to get into the mindset of snacking on foods which are seeds and roots and the stems of leafy foods. We have to get in the habit where we know how to prepare broccoli, where we're eating and seasoning our food with ginger, where we're eating, seeds such as nuts like almonds. We have to get to where we're eating, mushrooms. Mushrooms are amazingly nutrition. They're like considered superfoods when you look at the different mushrooms.
Really?
In mushrooms, and usually I substitute like I do a veggie type of spaghetti, and I use mushrooms as like my meat because it tastes like instead of putting actual meat in my spaghetti, I put mushrooms, in my spaghetti. But we have to get to where we're understanding and looking at the nutrients in like a lot of the different seeds and nuts, and roots, so that we're eating those foods. Like I said, I'm not saying eat them in bulk, but you have to have it as a part of your dish when you're eating. If you really pay attention when we prepare food, a lot of times we throw away the roots and the stem and the seeds of the foods, and that's the most nutritious part of the food is the stem, the root, and the seeds.
Now that reminds me of my grandfather, because I'm from West Virginia and I'm a country girl. But my grandfather would eat the chicken bone, the myrrh of the chicken bone.
Yeah,
because he said it was more. Yeah, that was what like the meat is fine, but the thing that you need for your body, it's not that bone. Didn't understand it, but now I'm older. I am starting to get to understand that.
And I used to get teased a lot, and I still do, because I eat the whole apple, the apple core and the seeds. But it tastes good. It has a bitter. To me, it has a taste to it that I like. It has kind of almost like a bitter taste that I like. So I usually suck on it, then I eat it. Even when you look at watermelon seeds. Me, I've always ate the watermelon seeds because I don't have time. I don't have time to spit seeds out. I'm greedy. I'm going straight for the gittins. So I always swallow the seeds along with the meat of the watermelon. And if you just do your research on the benefits of watermelon seeds, there's a benefit. Yeah, I remember my great grandmother saying, the watermelon seeds growing. They always talk about the seeds growing in your stomach. No, that's
right.
The old
that was my
wise tale.
I remember that.
Yeah. But that's the when you're talking about what it is that you need to eat, you're probably already eating it. For example, one of the most nutritious meals that we eat that's very nutritious is cabbage. But we have to be very careful about cabbage because of the high content of vitamin K that's in it. So we have to, if you have high blood pressure, you have to really watch cabbage because of the vitamin K, because it thickens the blood. So it helps with blood clotting and things like that. But cabbage has other very important nutrients. But like I said, you're probably already eating some of those superfoods, but you're throwing away the good stuff. You're throwing away the good stuff.
And I remember growing up that my mom, she used to do something like a cabbage diet. And it was like to detox her body. And I was like, for 10 days, she's like, I'm going to do my cabbage. And she would boil it and fix it and put all these other different vegetables in it. But that's what she ate for like 10 days. And it was just a detox. And it was mainly in the winter.
Yes. And I'm sure we've all heard, making sure you have a variety of color. Even when we're talking about cabbage, that also means, the red cabbage and the blue, you want to include that and start preparing that. It's very good stuff. Very good stuff.
Okay. We definitely have to put that on our website. So we're going to make sure I'm taking notes, so I'm making sure we put all these things out there. But in regards to minerals, vitamins, we talked about the food. So let's talk about the vitamins and the minerals that we can use.
Now, with the vitamins, one of the vitamins I stress the most are your B vitamins. The- you know,
Okay.
B vitamins are the vitamins that are needed for cellular energy. I know you'll hear a lot of people talk about, I just feel so exhausted all the time. I feel tired all the time. Even when I get, 8, to 10 hours of sleep, I'm still tired. You're tired almost basically down to the cellular level, which means
Wow.
you're deficient. Whenever you're feeling out of the norm, many times you are deficient in a specific vitamin or mineral. And you have to start researching to find out what that deficiency is. Your B vitamins are very important because they're one of their primary roles is not only the metabolism of a lot of other nutrients, but they're very important for cellular energy because they convert a lot of nutrients into energy. So one of the important factors of your B vitamins is nutritional conversion. They convert a lot of your foods into energy or into certain nutrients that the body needs to function. What happens in our culture, as Afrocentric people, and I'm not just going to focus on Afrocentric people, but people who are living, even just in poverty, when you are suffering from the stress of, trying to pay bills, trying to take care of, the family, take care of the kids, maybe you're a single parent, maybe you're going through, legal issues, maybe you're going through a traumatic tragedy that may have taken place. These things cause your body to deplete itself of specific nutrients. And a lot of times it's your B vitamins because when you're depressed or going through stress, that takes up a lot of energy and it depletes yourself of a lot of nutrients. So in many cases, you're causing yourself to be deficient in many different nutrients. So,
and that, I'm going to stop you for just a second.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to elaborate on that because I know that some people, when they're depressed, they don't want to get out of the bed. They don't have no energy.
Right.
They don't have that get up because the vitamins have been depleted. They're not there. They don't have the energy to go there. So they deplete all of their vitamins that they need to keep going to make it through that process. But then some of them go to the doctors and they give them these antidepressants, but all the thing they need was to get the vitamins right. I don't want to really go into it, but a lot of people get onto medication that they don't really need. It's just about tweaking things or taking the right vitamin or going to see an alternative doctor so they won't have to get onto certain medications.
And
I think that's
you're absolutely right. And I think we're starting to see a shift in the medical field where you're starting to see doctors and not only that, health insurance providers are starting to have areas where they focus on nutritional health. You even have doctors that are prescribing certain nutritional type of forms of health. So they're gradually either starting to see the benefits of it, or maybe they, are starting to see that shift of money pushing toward that, leaning toward that
Yes.
direction. So,
Right.
and like I mentioned before, a lot of sickness and disease that's what it's due to, a vitamin and mineral deficiency. If you listen really close to what a lot of times your doctors are saying to you, when you go in to see them, like for example, whenever you find someone that's dealing with osteoporosis or something like that, and they give you a calcium supplement that you have to take, that they're saying you're deficient in calcium. But when you start getting toward other diseases where there's deterioration, where you're dealing with something where there's deterioration present, you have to ask the question, is there, a dietary remedy for this? What am I deficient in a specific vitamin or mineral that help with that? That's weird. Our bodies are composed of vitamins and minerals. Those are the things that allow us to function. An aspirin doesn't allow you to function.
No.
Your prescription drugs don't allow you to function. Those things don't grow in nature. They're not in nature. That's not something that your body is required to have. It's not required to have those particular meds. So you have to ask the question, what am I deficient in, or what is it that my body needs to reverse this particular condition, or to prevent this particular condition from happening or occurring again.
And what you're saying is so true, because a lot of people, they are what their doctors are telling them, and they don't ask the right questions, because they'll get on a prescription and been on it for years.
So we've been, it's subconscious programming. And I talk about that from time to time, and I've researched it a little bit more. And what we have with subconscious programming is when you see somebody, in a slacks and a button-up shirt or a lab coat with a stethoscope around their neck, you are automatically you see them as the professional, and whatever they tell you, that's what needs to be done, and that's what we envision or we see on a regular basis. And like I said, this is by no means saying, advising anybody to go against their doctor's advice, but it's just to get you to start thinking a little bit more when you go in to see your doctor, and to ask more questions. When your doctor asks you, do you have any questions for me? You should have questions, especially when it's pertaining to your health and your wellness.
And that's so true, because at that time they leave out the room, ask you that question, you feel pressure because of them going through the patient. So when they go to their next patient, you feel that I can't ask that question because it's going to take the time. But that's what they get paid for. They're there to help you. We as a people take it as if we're going to bother them and not ask the questions. So we go home and try to research it. Instead of asking then. I'm constantly asking questions, and I ask for referrals. I'm like, if they tell me something that I feel is not right, I will say, well, let me get a second opinion.
And second opinions, and second opinions are always, they're very important. Especially, I find them very important, especially after a friend of mine was misdiagnosed for having cancer. And,
wow.
She went to get a second and third opinion. And the interesting thing about, her case was that, what we discovered, because I gave her a ride to a couple of her appointments. And the interesting thing is that what I found with this cancer diagnosis is that a lot of times the doctors are asked, who referred you or who diagnosed you. They want to know. Now, what was interesting when she didn't tell them, that she was diagnosed or give them any information on why she thought she had cancer, they gave her a whole different diagnosis. The diagnosis was totally different than the one that she had. When she went to the Cancer Institute, they said, well, no, this isn't cancer. Who told you that? And when she went to get a third opinion, they asked her, have you went to see anyone else? And she was like, no, I haven't went to see anything else. I just need to check. I have a concern. They told her something totally different, which was amazing to me. Wow. And it raised a lot of questions. Yeah,
I can understand that because I have had misdiagnosed myself, and then after doing some research, I kind of found out some information about this and the type of dementia she had, and found out that she was not diagnosed with the right dementia. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's because that's the big known thing. But we'll come to find out she had frontispial. And because of the structure of it, that the doctors were like, well, this is what she has. She has Alzheimer's, and they didn't look at it. They didn't look at the other type of the dementia she has. And come to find out, it was the frontispial because of the behavior, the language, all the different things lined up for it. But there was not enough research out there and enough information in communities that people are being misdiagnosed. Because there can either be someone on behalf of bipolar, I should say bipolar medicine. And basically, I found out from a doctor just last 2 weeks that they could actually have early onsets of frontispial based off of that information. But they're giving them depression medicine. And my sister was on an antidepressant for almost 2 years before she was diagnosed. So I understand that part.
Yeah, and even when you're talking about dementia, I was talking to a client of mine who stated that he was starting to have cognitive issues, and he's an older guy, and there's a lot of deterioration that's taken place, with him, and it's very sad and very concerning. But we have to start looking at, especially when you talk about brain health, you want to take care of your brain and just your body as a whole. You want to make sure you're taking in these new things. Let's say, for example, you start to notice that maybe you're having some type of cognitive issues, or maybe you have some concerns about your short-term memory or anything like that. Still, take heed to that, because, pay attention to your body. I always tell people, your body better than I do, or better than your doctor do. So you want to start including things like your beetroots, and start learning how to, pickle, or learning how to prepare them in a way that will allow you to indulge in them as part of a meal. You want to start looking at salmon and your berries, and the different seeds and grains that are considered brain foods. Even just eating raw tomatoes. I remember as a kid, we just ate raw tomatoes on a regular basis. I mean, we were always going to, my mother's garden, or a neighborhood friend's parents' garden, and grabbing tomatoes and eating tomatoes, walking around the neighborhood. Even your avocados. You want to make sure, that you're, indulging, even if it's just as a snack. You're sitting around watching television, or maybe you have something prepared that you can just have at work at your desk. If you work at a desk where you're eating like some walnuts, or maybe you have an avocado that you can just kind of cut, or you already have cut up and prepared in one of the Ziploc bowls or whatever. These are just foods that you really want to just kind of snack on a regular basis. And I know when I say snack, going into, 2019, people are trying to go on their diets, and they're like, oh, man. Now, when we start talking about diets, we really want to be careful, because diet, when you say diet, people think about food restriction. And when you say food restricting, when you restrict your body of food, you're restricting your body of nutrients. And to kind of share a myth with you, look, you want to eat and snack on a regular basis, because that's the thing that increases your metabolism.
Every 2 to 3 hours.
Eating small meals on a regular basis. And for those of you who are not sure what metabolism means, I'm going to go ahead and throw the definition out there. Your metabolism is your body, the functions that your body performs to sustain life. That's what your metabolism is. It's the function that your body performs to sustain life, which means it's the beating of your heart, it's the inhalation and exhalation of your lungs, it's the digestion, performance of your stomach and your intestines. When you're eating or snacking on nutritious meals, small meals, when I say small meals, that's about the size of your palm. When you're snacking on those small meals, your stomach is constantly, churning and grinding food and absorbing nutrients. So it takes calories for your body to do that. Your body has to burn calories to perform that function. So that's what people mean when they say the increasing of your metabolism. So you want to kind of snack on, just kind of regular nutritious foods.
And Lorenzo, I'm going to and judge right here. I'm going to step in for just 1 second. But as you were saying about the type of food, tomatoes and the beets and things like that, I remember where we had community gardens, where people in the community had gardens, and we ate off of it. We got to the point where everything got to come from the store. And so everything had to be so quick process. It had to be in that process that we don't take the time to get the right nutrition. We think we gotta have everything right quick. So and it's funny that you mentioned tomatoes, because the last few days that's what I've been eating: my tomatoes, my carrots, and my cucumbers. So I've been doing that and my protein. As well as my chicken and my salmon. So it makes a difference.
It does.
And stand hydrated.
And how you mentioned cucumbers, I remember, snacking on, like, my mother would dice up cucumbers and would let them sit in, like, vinegar, and that's a nice snack. You kind of take some cucumbers, dice them up, and kind of, put a few tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in there, kind of shake them up in a Ziploc bag and have those in there to kind of snack on. I like them raw and I like them with vinegar.
Right.
So those are always great snacks to have. But we have to start looking at food as medicine.
Right.
We have to start looking at food as medicine. Because that's where we're failing as a society when we start looking at healthcare. When we start looking at health and wellness, we're failing in that area.
And you said it before, and I like you said too. We have to live to eat, not live to live.
Yes,
is that correct?
Live to eat, not live. We have to eat to live, not live to eat. Yeah, absolutely
right. And a lot of people have to get that in their mindset, is that this is what I'm doing. I'm eating so I can live.
You're absolutely right. And like I said, we're not trying to like I said, I learned real quick that, to get people to eat, healthy is not, it's not when see when we say eat healthy, people, get terrified of that. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean I have to eat rice patties all the time? No, it's not what it means. It means you just have to prepare your food different. That's what prepare your food different. Yeah, I know you may have been eating the way you've been eating for years and generations, and that's not to say that you can't from time to time, enjoy some of those old flavors. But we have to start thinking, about our health, our longevity. We have to start thinking about being around, for, our family members and those people that we care about. We have to start thinking about other people, and not just ourselves.
Yeah. And a lot of people have to get to that place where they saying, I want to and live, and then just eat and be miserable. Because so many times you can eat food, and within 30 minutes after eating it, you feel miserable.
Oh
And
yeah,
so if you get to the point where
I already know what foods. Yeah, I know exactly what foods cause certain problems with me, and usually if I decide to indulge in those foods, that means I've just accepted the consequence 30 minutes later, and then occasionally I do that. I'm like, man, if I eat this, oh man, I know what's going to happen, but oh man, I want to try it so bad, and in many cases,
and
I
that's
just
the
accept
thing
the
about
consequence.
it. And you saying you accept the consequences of it because you know your body, and you know what you can eat and what you can't eat.
Yeah, and when we say consequence, it's usually because, see, what happens when let's say, for example, those of you who are listening, who are in the audience, you're looking at, okay, I want to go ahead and try and change my eating habits. I want to try and change, my diet, or I want to try and start living a more healthier lifestyle. The thing that I do suggest is this. Go ahead and get on a dietary, not a dietary, but a detox supplement. Or if, it's okay, you've talked to your physician and you want to do like maybe a 3-day fast, I suggest doing that first. The reason why I suggest doing that first is because in many cases, our cells aren't functioning properly. And I say that to say that I say that in saying that when we go into these dietary changes or these lifestyle changes, especially when we're looking at weight loss, our body isn't metabolizing nutrients properly, which means the cells aren't metabolizing properly. So you want to go ahead and do the detox, cleanse your system out, get your cells functioning properly. That way, when you start introducing these nutrients, to your body or your cells are absorbing the nutrients properly, and they're absorbing the nutrients efficiently. What you'll find is sometimes you're taking supplements and your body's not absorbing those nutrients, and usually that's because there's some blockage somewhere, or there's some cellular damage somewhere, and the body's not absorbing properly. So you want to get your best bang for your buck. So, definitely want to do some type of detox or cleansing, effort. So before you go into these changes.
And that's
now, quick warning, when you do go into these changes and you start to have a relapse, you're going to experience something. It's either going to be a headache, it's going to be diarrhea, it's going to be something that you're going to experience when you try and go back and have a relapse, and you try and go back and revisiting some of the old dietary foods that you're eating. So those are just the brief warning of some of the things you may experience once you decide to make that lifestyle change.
And thank you for pointing that out. Because we want to make sure people understand, in order for you to go to that next level, you have to detox your body. Get rid of the old things before you put something new in. And it's just like I use the scripture where you can't put new wine in an old wineskin. You have to get rid of all those things that's toxic. And so that when it's time for you to go into that diet, you have it. It works better for you.
Yeah. You
So,
are absolutely
Lorenzo,
right.
I want you to tell the audience how they can reach out to you. I know that you're going to be on my website. We're partnering up with putting a link on there. But how can they get in contact with you, and how can we find out more about the vitamins and minerals that you have that we can start purchasing?
This,
I know we're going to
this is
partner
what
that
I would
up.
like for people to do, to reach out to me or to kind of get a better idea of what it is that I do and what it is that I provide. Is you can go to www.m as in Mary, T as in Tom, dash, P as in Paul, H as in Henry, .massagetherapy.com.
Okay.
Or you can go to www.atimetospeak.com.
Okay. And so we close out with a few things before we run out of time here. But I want to make sure that they have that information. And thank you again.
And I think I said that correctly. I think I put mt-ph.massagetherapy.com. Yeah. If you just www.m as in Mary, T as in Tom, dash, P as in Paul, H as in Henry.massagetherapy.com.
Perfect.
And that'll
then
put
also
you on that website.
Okay, great. Because I want to have you connected to my website as well. So I'm going to put a link on so that they can reach through my website at neuropathic.trainers.com. So I will have your information on my website at www.neuropathictrainers.com. So we're going to make sure we put that information out there as well.
Okay. Excellent.
Perfect. And so I'm looking for having Lorenzo back on, and we're going to talk about aluminum and the different things that it does to our body. Because that is a thing that
they're going to definitely want to hear the heavy metals talk. You definitely want to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So we want to bring you back on to talk about the heavy metals, the things that we're using, the stainless steel pans that we have in our house, the deodorant that we put on that still have aluminum in it. All those things that we're using, products that's in our house, that's not healthy for us. So I'm going to put you on the schedule for the beginning of the year. So I'm excited about that. So if you want to come back on before then, let us know. But we definitely going to be on our calendar for January.
Okay, that sounds great.
Again, thank you, Lorenzo, for coming on. Oh, no problem, no problem.
And thank you all. I really appreciate you all having me on. I appreciate and thank God for having you all able to listen. And I look forward to being back on with you all again.
Thank you, Lorenzo. I'm excited about having you on again in January. We're going to go back over some more of these things about alternative medicine, the vitamins and minerals that we need to do. I refresh people's memory onto next week so that they will still understand that we need to make sure we get all the B's, vitamins in our body.
Yes.
So before we leave, make sure you give us your website one more time.
Okay. It's going to be www.m as in Mary, T as in Tom, dash P as in Paul, H as in Henry, .massagetherapy.com. And you can also go to www.atimetospeak.net.
Perfect. Again, thank you again.
Not .net, it's going to be .life. I'm sorry. www.atimetospeak.life.
Okay. And you can send that information to me, and I can put it on my website so we can have it on there for the next few weeks. Okay.
Excellent.
Have a nice day, Lorenzo. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good. So, audience, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you got a lot of information, things that will make you feel like you can move on to 2019 with a different mindset. That you will be able to see yourself growing and know when you are tired, sluggish, maybe you just need to take the right vitamins, right? And get the right foods in your system and start exercising and eating healthy. And like he said, eating healthy doesn't always mean that we got to change what we've been doing, but also change the way we've been preparing it. And so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to for you guys coming on next week. And we're going to talk more about what we went over, but also elaborate on how we can move into 2019 with a clear mind. Thank you all for coming on to Neuro Pathic Trainers broadcast. And come into my website. Go to my website at www.neuropathictrainers.com. And we will have some more information on there talking about the cabbage and all those different things. So I will do a blog talk within the next few days so you can have a refresher. So again, thank you for coming on. And I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed week.